All right, folks, here's your Tractical tip for this week. We're going to talk about understanding the program for the day's workout. There's lots of different components, and so I'm going to run through it so that you can harness as much out from the training as possible. So let's start up right on this board right here. So our sessions always start off with a skill session, and right next to it, those are our timestamps of the time that we're allocating for that day's session. So the 5 stands for the warm-up session. We have 5 minutes to work on that warm-up, and then we have 15 minutes to work on the skill for today. Okay. Other key thing is the context of the training, right? So there's a practice context, there's a competition context, and mental toughness, right? So practice is when we're focusing on cleaning up our movement. We're not so much worried about lifting your maximum weight or going as fast as you can. Competition is more about pacing yourself, strategizing how to get the best result. And then mental toughness is when you want to kind of push the limits and kind of see where the wheels fall off and kind of see where your current capabilities are at. You're not so much worried about pacing, all right? And so now, boom, we're working on a warm-up. Okay, you have options of working on a ring dip or a muscle-up progression, right? So always thinking about progressions. Anytime we're working on a skill portion, you want to think about what level can you perform the movement at for at least 5 perfect reps. So if ring dips are out of your range, you're going to go back down to maybe bar dips, right? And if your ring dips are fine, start moving up and work on your muscle-up progressions, okay? Boom, we're moving on to our strength focus, right? So we run through 6-week strength blocks. And so here we have 6 sets of 2 reps of your push press or overhead squat. And your goal is to try to hit that rep scheme at 85 to 95% of your 1 rep max. And that's why we'll do a test of your 1 rep maxes usually before we ever roll into the strength cycles. Okay? If you ever miss that test, then you can always use one of these skill days to establish a new 1 rep max. That way you have the number to move forward. Okay? Here we have this 9 out of 12. That means this is a 9th out of the planned 12 sessions for that block. So you know that when we start off a new cycle, the weights start relatively light. That gives you some room to progress. And then as we get closer to the end of the cycle, you're going to get closer and closer to your maxes. Right? Supersets means that this movement always follows that previous rep scheme. Okay? So after you do 2 sets of your push presses, you're going to follow it up with 4 single leg deadlifts, right, on each leg, right? And that superset always complements that movement and gives us some more practice time on pushing your strength. Why? Because strength is one of those things that you always need to practice and a skill that you need to maintain to be able to be functional for life. Boom. We're moving on to our workouts, right? We usually always have 2 options for you to choose from. My general rule of thumb for most people is that you should choose what you need more work on. So if there's a certain movement, maybe rowing or burpees that you are allergic to, that's probably what you should choose. Or if you are needing more help on some weightlifting and there's a weightlifting component, you probably should kind of choose that barbell movement to help you out. But it's always flexible and it's depending on your day. Either way, you're going to get a good workout in. Okay? So let's look at option A. Okay? Typically, option A, we're focused on a little bit more cardio, gymnastics movements, and then weightlifting. Option B, we're kind of flipping things over. We're kind of focusing on a little bit more weightlifting, then gymnastics, and then cardio, right? A little bit different emphasis, okay? So here, let's look at your item. You have a 500-meter row, and then you got a 1-minute break after that, which means you should push that row pretty hard, okay? After that, you got 4 rounds of 12 dumbbell snatches, and then 16 box step-ups. And remember, at each level, we have 3 performance levels. We have health, athletic, and then performance, and we always have the option to scale up. And so, looking at the time kind of pace for this workout, you want to finish around 7 to 11 minutes. So that means if you go a little bit too heavy, it might not push you outside of that pacing where you can't finish 4 rounds. If you scale it down too easily, then that might mean that you're going to finish way fast and not get the right stimulus for that day's training focus. Okay, so within each movement, you want to think about, hey, if this is a strong movement for me, let me see if I can challenge myself and move up on the scales and maybe even scale up. Okay? Or if the movement is kind of a difficult one for you and we want to be able to finish in time, you might need to scale that movement down, which is totally fine because the goal is to push that intensity with good form, and that will give you the best results for your longevity and for your performance. Okay? And the other side, option B, You got an AMRAP in 12 minutes. You got 5 deadlifts over here. Again, you have 3 different weight standards to kind of choose from. They're not set in stone, but it gives you kind of idea to where to start with, right? And then we always have that scale up option. If you want to put your strength to the test, then you should try to load up a little bit more weight. Obviously, always with good form though. Okay? Then you got 10 burpees and then 15 wall ball shots. You know the burpees and wall balls are an awesome combination. And then we're targeting about 3 to 5 rounds, right? So going through this, you should have kind of estimation in mind that, hey, I can at least get 3 rounds with whatever scale that I can push for. And if you got some more juice in the tank, then we can push it out to 5 rounds, okay? So those are your options. And we also have a time stamp for our conditioning pieces, which is 12 minutes a day. And that gives you kind of an idea of where we're gonna cut off, okay? Last but not least, we have your cash outs, okay? So cash outs are kind of like extra credit. So at the end of the workout, if you still got, I use this term all the time, you got room for dessert, then you have an opportunity to get in some cardio. We always have a 1 mile run or row or bike as an option. You have some more conditioning work to get in. If you're for those of you that got to get your sweat on, right? You got 15 more wall balls and 30 double unders, as many rounds as you can in 4 minutes. And you also have a hypertrophy option, which is kind of to focus on specific muscle development, right? So we don't do much isolation work in our normal training, and this is an opportunity for you to kind of work on your gains, work on building some muscle mass, and build up some basic strength on some given movements. Okay. On top of this, we also have our dynamic warm-ups. That's what we'll run through in class, but those are always an option for you to come in early and knock out that warm-up, which will prime you up and help you perform and be safer for the workouts as well, okay? Along with the mobility work as well, okay? So there's a lot of layers to the programming. If you can understand it, he can help. You'll be able to kind of tweak it to make it most efficient for you. And before every strength cycle starts, it's a really good idea to meet up with your coach so that they can help you set up what your progression should be for those next 6 weeks, and that will set you up for success for all year long. All right, that's your Tractical tip. Check it out. If you have any questions, post it up in the comments. Thanks for checking this week's out.